Subscribe now to Coin Discovery Old Zone, the home of rare treasures and forgotten histories brought back to life. Today, we journey back to a time when a nation was just beginning to write its own destiny, and a single coin became a silent witness to that birth. It's the story of the 1 Dirham coin from 1973, or, as the coin itself proudly bears, the year 1393 in the Islamic calendar. A small circle of metal that carries the weight of a nation's beginnings, and a collector's dream that today could be worth more than $2 million. When you hold this coin, you aren't just holding silver-colored metal. You're holding the memory of a time when the United Arab Emirates was young, newly united, and ready to step into the modern world. The year was 1973, only 2 years after the founding of the UAE in 1971. The rulers of the 7 Emirates had come together to shape a single identity, and with that unity came a new currency, a new symbol of strength and pride. Before this, people in the region used currencies like the Qatari rial or the Bahraini dinar. But the leaders of the UAE wanted something of their own, something that spoke of independence. And so, the first Dirham coins were minted. Simple, elegant, and powerful in design. The 1 Dirham coin of 1973 was among the earliest. It carried the falcon's head, a proud emblem of heritage, and on the reverse, the Arabic calligraphy of United Arab Emirates and 1 Dirham. The Islamic year 1393 appears alongside 1973, marking the bridge between tradition and modernity. Imagine what life was like then. The oil discoveries were beginning to transform the region. Cities like Abu Dhabi and Dubai were still young, their skylines barely scratching the horizon. Men wore the same determination on their faces as they built roads, ports, and schools. The coin in your hand would have passed through the palms of merchants trading dates, pearls, and spices. It would have jingled in the pockets of fishermen, oil workers, and traders, each one helping shape the nation's story. For collectors, the 1973 1 Dirham holds more than monetary worth. It represents the soul of a generation that turned sand into cities. It was among the first national issues struck to establish identity and pride. Many of these coins were used in daily trade and worn down by time. But a few, very few, survived in pristine, uncirculated condition. Those coins are now the holy grail for numismatists who understand the rarity of an untouched first mint. Over the years, the UAE Dirham has seen several design changes and minting variations. But the 1973 issue stands apart, not just because it's the first of its kind, but because it was produced during a period of limited mintage. Only select batches were struck, and some of those were reserved for ceremonial or presentation purposes. That's why when one surfaces today in flawless condition, collectors know it's not just a coin, it's a piece of history few will ever touch. Now, let's talk about the metal itself. The early 1 Dirham coins were made from cupronickel, a durable alloy of copper and nickel that resisted corrosion in the harsh Gulf climate. But even with its humble metal composition, the true value of the coin lies in its story. Every scratch tells of markets filled with voices, of trade routes across the desert, of a nation rising with the morning sun. If you happen to find one of these coins in your old collection, pay attention to the details. The 1973 to 1393 coin has distinct Arabic script, with the numerals of the Hijri year beautifully curved. The edges are reeded, and the falcon's head design is sharp and proud. If the strike is clear, the shine untouched, and the minting perfectly preserved, you may be looking at one of the rarest and most valuable dirhams in existence. Collectors across the world are now in a race to find coins from the early years of the UAE. Auction houses in Europe and the Middle East have seen rising bids for coins that were once considered common pocket change. The 1 Dirham of 1973, in its rarest and most immaculate form, has become the crown jewel for collectors of Gulf currency. Some numismatists call it the coin of New Arabia, a name that captures both its heritage and its hope. Every time one of these coins changes hands, it revives memories of that proud moment in 1973 when the nation's identity took form, when the world began to recognize the strength and unity of the Emirates. It's a piece of metal, yes, but it's also a message from the past that whispers of endurance, pride, and vision. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the value. What could a small coin like this truly be worth today? For ordinary, worn examples, perhaps just a few dirhams. But the rarest specimen, the untouched, uncirculated 1973 to 1393 1 dirham, the one minted in perfect brilliance, possibly one of the ceremonial issues, has stunned collectors and experts alike. In a recent private valuation, such a coin was estimated to be worth a staggering $2 million. Yes, $2 million, not for its metal, but for its meaning. So the next time you open your old coin box or find a forgotten coin in a drawer, look closely. You may just be holding a silent witness to the birth of a nation. A tiny treasure that has traveled half a century through time to remind you that even the smallest things can carry the greatest stories. This coin, United Arab Emirates 1 dirham coin from the year 1989, also marked as 1409 in the Islamic calendar. At first glance, it looks ordinary, a small silver-colored coin, light in the hand, modest in size. But as any true coin collector knows, value isn't always written in gold or weight. Sometimes, the worth of a coin lies hidden in its history, its rarity, and the silent tales it carries through time. To understand this coin, we must travel back to a time when the UAE was still defining its identity. The year was 1989. Across the 7 Emirates, the nation was growing rapidly. Oil wealth was reshaping cities, and the desert sand were being replaced by towers and highways. Yet, in the midst of progress, the country held tightly to its roots, Arabic tradition, Islamic faith, and cultural pride. This coin, bearing the Islamic year 1409, reflects that balance between progress and heritage. On one side, you'll find the Arabic inscription, beautifully curved and dignified, representing the denomination, 1 dirham. Below it, the words of the United Arab Emirates appear in graceful calligraphy, a symbol of national pride and unity. Flip the coin, and you'll see something truly symbolic. The iconic Arabic coffee pot, known as the dala. It's more than decoration, it's a cultural emblem. The dala stands for generosity, hospitality, and brotherhood, the virtues that define the spirit of the Emirates. For centuries, offering coffee to a guest has been a sacred tradition in Arab culture. So, when you hold this coin, you're not just holding currency. You're holding a symbol of respect, welcome, and human connection. The year 1989 was an important one in the history of coin minting in the UAE. By then, the dirham had been in circulation for nearly 2 decades, having replaced the Qatar and Dubai rial in 1973. But each issue told a different chapter of the nation's story. Coins from the late 1980s, especially those minted in smaller quantities, are prized among collectors for their quality, distinctive details, and subtle variations in design. This particular 1989 issue is often regarded as one of the most striking examples of mid-period UAE coinage. Its edges, its metal composition, and its fine Arabic inscriptions all reflect the craftsmanship of that era. Unlike many modern coins, these were made to last, to endure heat, time, and thousands of exchanges in markets, souks, and ports. But here's where the story takes a remarkable turn. Over the years, collectors began to notice something unusual. Some 1989 1 dirham coins appeared slightly different. Variations in mint marks, minor design shifts, and even differences in metal tone. These anomalies, once overlooked, became the heart of fascination. Experts started digging deeper, comparing specimens from different regions, and what they found surprised everyone. A few rare mint errors, a limited batch that seemed to have been produced under unique circumstances. Such coins, especially when preserved in uncirculated condition, gained extraordinary value among dedicated numismatists. A simple coin that once bought a loaf of bread or a cup of tea suddenly became a prized possession, a conversation piece, a treasure that could define an entire collection. Now, think for a moment about how many hands a dirham would pass through in its lifetime. Merchants, travelers, laborers, families. Every scratch, every mark tells a human story. A child's first savings, a merchant's daily earnings. À travers les souvenirs. Each coin witnesses the rhythm of everyday life, then quietly disappears into history, waiting for someone curious enough to rediscover it. For many of us who grew up in the late 20th century, coins like this hold a deeper nostalgia. They take us back to a simpler time, when money had weight, when value was something you could feel between your fingers. Collectors in their 50s and 60s often speak about that connection. The emotion of holding something real, something that doesn't just represent value, but also carries a heartbeat from the past. And that's the magic of old coins. They don't just sit in boxes or glass cases. They speak. They tell us how nations evolved, how people lived, how art and culture shaped the symbols we still use today. The 1989 1 dirham is part of that living memory. It bridges the traditional and the modern, a reflection of an era when the UAE was stepping into the global stage while honoring its roots. For collectors who appreciate meaning over metal, this coin stands as a perfect reminder that true worth is timeless. Now, when it comes to value, and this is what makes this story so unbelievable, one extremely rare version of this 1989 1 dirham has been estimated to reach an astonishing figure in the collector's market. Due to its rarity, unique mint characteristics, and pristine condition, some experts and auction watchers have valued this coin at an incredible $2.5 million. Yes, $2.5 million for a coin that once was worth only a single dirham. That number isn't just about price, it's about legacy. It tells us that even the smallest pieces of history can rise to unimaginable significance. It shows that time, patience, and passion can turn the ordinary into something extraordinary. So, the next time you come across an old coin tucked away in a drawer, or you find a forgotten piece in an old collection, take a moment. Look closely, because hidden within those metals might be a forgotten gem waiting to reveal its story. Collectors know that discovering a coin like this isn't just about money. It's about the thrill of connection. Each find is a conversation with history, a bridge between generations, and a way to keep the past alive in the present. The 1989 1 dirham coin, marked with the Islamic year 1409, is more than a collectible. It's a symbol of pride, endurance, and cultural beauty. And for those lucky enough to hold one in mint condition, it might just be one of the most valuable discoveries of their lifetime. This coin, 1 dirham, United Arab 1989 to 1409 coin history. And every story reveals a hidden treasure. Today, we're traveling back in time to uncover one of the most remarkable coins ever minted in the Middle East, a coin that many have handled, but few have truly understood. The 1988 United Arab Emirates 1 dirham, also marked 1408 in the Islamic calendar. What seems like an ordinary piece of metal has become a symbol of history, transition, and national pride, carrying secrets that only those who truly look closer can see. When you hold a coin, you hold a moment frozen in metal. The year 1988 was a time when the UAE was still a young nation, just beginning to transform from a desert federation into a modern powerhouse. The discovery of oil had already changed everything, but the people still held strong ties to their traditions, their language, and their culture. And in that period, the dirham was more than money, it was identity. Every coin struck at the UAE's mint carried the dream of unity and the promise of prosperity. The 1 dirham coin was the symbol of the ordinary man, the shopkeeper, the fisherman, the pearl diver, the worker who built the new cities rising from the sand. The 1988 issue of the 1 dirham coin is unique because it represents a turning point in minting quality and design refinement. The obverse bears the elegant Arabic inscription of United Arab Emirates, while the reverse proudly shows the traditional Arabic coffee pot, known as the dawla. That pot isn't just decoration. It represents hospitality, generosity, and the Emirati way of welcoming a guest. In every home, from the mountains to the coast, that symbol has meaning. To see it engraved on metal is to see the heart of a nation. The coin's date, written as 1408 in the Hijri calendar, reflects the deep Islamic roots of the region. It's a reminder that time in the Arab world isn't only measured by modern calendars, but also by a tradition that stretches back to the days of the Prophet. The dual dating, 1408 on one side, 1988 on the other, connects two worlds, faith and modernity. And that connection is exactly what makes this particular year's mint so special. Many collectors today overlook coins like the 1988 Dirham because they think they were produced in huge numbers. But the truth is, not all Dirhams were created equal. Certain mint runs in 1988 were produced with slight variations, tiny differences in the metal composition, edge design, or Arabic script alignment. These were often unnoticed by the public, but coin experts and historians now recognize that those minute details separate ordinary circulation coins from extremely rare mint specimens. A few of these rare strikes were reserved for government presentation sets or diplomatic gifts, coins that never entered the hands of the public. For older collectors, especially those who lived through the 1980s, this coin stirs a deep sense of memory. It reminds them of a simpler time when the UAE cities were still growing, when the first skyscrapers in Dubai began to touch the sky, when families gathered around the radio instead of screens. To own this coin is to touch that moment again. The soft wear on the edges, the light scratches from 1,000 transactions. All of it tells a story of people, trade, and transformation. The craftsmanship of the 1988 Dirham reflects the influence of British minting technology, which was used during that era. Each coin was struck from a copper-nickel alloy, designed to last decades in circulation. Yet, as strong as it was, few coins from that year remain in pristine condition. Those that do have become the holy grail for dedicated collectors. A flawless, uncirculated 1988 Dirham can shine like silver under light. Its edges crisp, its Arabic lettering perfectly raised and balanced. Finding one like that today is no small task, but rarity isn't only about condition, it's about meaning. And that's what gives the 1988 Dirham its lasting power. It marks a time when the UAE was laying the foundation for its national identity, building infrastructure, and opening itself to the world. Every man who held that coin in his hand carried a piece of that journey. And now, decades later, collectors all over the world search for these coins not only for their metal value, but for the legacy they carry. In recent years, stories have surfaced of collectors discovering rare Dirham varieties in old drawers, suitcases, or inherited collections. Some were surprised to learn that what they thought was just a common coin turned out to be an ultra-rare mint error or a proof specimen worth a fortune. A few of these discoveries have rewritten the understanding of modern Emirati numismatics. The 1988 coin, in particular, has become a favorite topic in coin forums and among Middle Eastern collectors' circles. Imagine this: a coin that once bought a cup of tea in an old Dubai cafe, now valued at the price of a palace. How could such a thing be? The answer lies in rarity, history, and story. When a coin carries all three, it stops being just a piece of metal. It becomes art, heritage, and investment. The 1988 1 Dirham is that perfect intersection. It's the story of a nation's youth, frozen forever in alloy. For men who appreciate history, craftsmanship, and the tangible beauty of the past, this coin offers something few others can: a bridge between generations. It's a conversation starter, a memory trigger, a silent witness to the making of a country that rose from sand to skyline. Many collectors in their 50s and 60s cherish such coins because they lived through the world this coin represents. They remember the feel of it in their hands, the sound of it dropping into a shopkeeper's till, the way life was before the digital age replaced cash with cards and apps. Holding that 1988 Dirham is like shaking hands with history itself. The next time you come across a UAE coin marked 1988 or 1408, look closer. Study its edge, its script, its shine. It might just be one of those rare specimens that survived untouched. And if it is, you could be holding something far more valuable than you ever imagined. Because in the world of numismatics, legends are born not in gold, but in stories like these. And here's where the story takes a stunning turn. Among collectors, one confirmed rare presentation version of the 1988 1 Dirham has reached an estimated valuation that left even veteran numismatists speechless. That single coin, carefully preserved, perfectly struck, and authenticated by experts, was valued an astonishing $2.3 million. Yes, you heard right. $2.3 million for what once was just a single dirham. This coin, 1 Dirham, United Arab 1988 to 1408 coin history. Now, picture this. It's the early 1980s. The deserts of the Arabian Peninsula are changing fast. Oil wealth is transforming towns into cities, tents into towers, and the United Arab Emirates, only a decade old, is stepping confidently onto the world stage. Amid this rapid transformation, the country's identity was being shaped not just through grand buildings or new roads, but through its currency, small yet symbolic pieces of its new national pride. And one of those symbols was a modest silver-colored coin, the 1 Dirham of 1982. At first glance, it looks ordinary, lightweight, nickel-colored, about the size of a U.S. quarter. But if you look closer, you'll see a story of heritage, power, and transition. On one side, the elegant Arabic script spells United Arab Emirates, curved gracefully along the rim. In the center, the number 1 rests proudly in Arabic numerals, followed by the word Dirham. Flip it, and you find a beautiful traditional coffee pot, known locally as the Dala, a centuries-old symbol of Emirati hospitality, culture, a generosity. This design wasn't random. When the UAE was formed in 1971, the new nation needed symbols that united its 7 emirates. The Dala was chosen to represent warmth and welcome, the heart of Arabian tradition. And the 1982 issue of this coin carried that message across markets, pockets, and borders. Every time someone paid with this coin, they carried with them a silent emblem of Emirati pride. But why, you may wonder, is the 1982 1 Dirham coin so special to understand that? We need to look deeper into history. The early dirhams, minted in the 1970s and early 1980s, were produced by the Royal Mint in London. They were made of cupronickel, a durable alloy designed to survive harsh desert conditions and decades of use. Yet the 1982 issue stood at the crossroads of change. That year marked a transition in the UAE's coin production, reflecting not only the country's growing independence, but also subtle variations in design and strike quality that collectors today find fascinating. What makes this particular coin truly rare isn't always visible to the casual observer. Some 1982 dirhams were struck with slightly different dies, minute differences in the coffee pot handle, the spout shape, or even the Arabic calligraphy. These variations have turned what once was a simple coin into an object of deep curiosity for numismatists around the world. Imagine holding one in your hand today. That same coin might have once passed through the hands of a pearl diver in Abu Dhabi, a fisherman in Ras Al Khaimah, or a merchant in Dubai's bustling souks, trading spices and silk. Each tiny scratch tells a story. Each faded edge whispers of time before skyscrapers and supercars, when the UAE was still finding its identity, coin by coin. Collectors over 55 often say there's a feeling you get when holding such a piece, something beyond weight or metal. It's a memory, a sense of the world when it was slower, simpler, more personal. Back when every coin wasn't just currency, but conversation. The 1982 1 Dirham captures that feeling perfectly. It's part of a generation's living memory. Now, here's where things get truly intriguing. Over the past few decades, some rare variants of this 1982 coin have surfaced. Misstrikes, off-center impressions, and even a few that display faint minting errors invisible to the naked eye. These anomalies, combined with the coin's age and historical significance, have caused an astonishing surge in its collectible value. In the numismatic world, condition is everything. A coin that's been preserved without scratches or wear, what experts call uncirculated, becomes a prize worth far beyond its original face value. Most dirhams of the 1980s were heavily circulated. They passed through countless hands in daily markets. Finding one in perfect condition is like discovering a pearl in the desert. And when rarity meets story, that's when prices soar. Collectors from Europe, Asia, and the Middle East have begun hunting for pristine specimens of the 1982 Dirham. Auction houses report that bids climb rapidly whenever one appears, especially those struck with the earliest dyes or preserved in proof-like condition. Some private sales, though rarely publicized, have shocked the collecting community with staggering figures. Why? Because this isn't just a coin anymore. It's a snapshot of an era, a metallic photograph of a nation finding its voice. And people who lived through that time, who remember the sand before the skyline, feel a personal connection to it. Think about it. The UAE of 1982 was less than 11 years old as a country. Its currency was still building trust in global trade. And that single dirham, worth so little then, symbolized so much hope. Today, it stands as a monument to progress. And to collectors, it's proof that even the smallest pieces of history can grow in value when preserved with respect. So, if you happen to come across an old dirham coin for 1982, don't just toss it into a drawer or spend as change. Hold it up to the light. Study its edges. Feel the texture, the shape, the story engraved upon it. Because somewhere in that small circle of metal lies a piece of Middle Eastern history, a reflection of resilience and rebirth. And here's the moment that stirs the imagination of every collector listening today. There have been confirmed appraisals and private offers where the rarest, mint condition 1982 dirham coins, those with flawless preservation and verified die variations, have reached values that almost defy belief. In the highest tier of private collections, experts have estimated such a coin could command up to $2 million. Yes, you heard that right. A coin once worth just dirham, now carrying a value of $2 million. That's the magic of numismatics. It's not just about metal or money. It's about moments frozen in time, reborn in the hands of those who truly appreciate them. So, gentlemen and fellow collectors, keep your eyes open. The next time you sift through an old drawer or stumble upon a forgotten coin box, remember, history often hides in plain sight. And sometimes, it takes only one coin to change everything. The dirham coin of the United Arab Emirates from the year 1998 also marked 1419 in the Islamic calendar. Back in 1998, the UAE was in the midst of transformation. The skyline was rising, oil wealth was shaping the nation, and the world was just beginning to take notice of this new power in the desert. Amid all that progress, the central bank of the UAE continued to mint coins that carried symbols of pride and heritage. The Arabic script, the dhow, the traditional coffee pot, and the elegant numberings that linked the modern state to its rich Islamic past. The dirham coin from 1998 is part of that legacy. At first glance, it looks simple, made from a cupronickel alloy, light yet durable, circular, modest in size. But look closer and you will see the craftsmanship that defines the spirit of the Emirates. One side bears the traditional Arabic script stating United Arab Emirates and the denomination dirham. The other side proudly displays the symbolic dala, the traditional Arabic coffee pot, a gesture of hospitality, a reflection of culture, and a silent welcome that has lasted generations. Now, most people who used this coin in 1998 would never have imagined it would one day be discussed by collectors around the world. But coins, like people, have destinies. Some are lost forever, buried under sand, or forgotten in drawers. Others find their way into history. The 1998 1 Dirham is one such survivor. It represents a time when the UAE was finding its modern identity, yet holding tight to its traditions. What makes this coin so fascinating to collectors today is not just its design or its age, but its story of scarcity and variation. Over the years, certain mint batches were produced in smaller quantities. Some had minor differences in metal tone, and a few even showed rare minting flaws. Tiny imperfections that for ordinary people meant nothing, but for collectors meant everything. Each mark, each faint misalignment of the lettering became a signature, a fingerprint of history. And that's why this coin has begun to stir excitement in the world of numismatics. For many older collectors, especially those who remember the late 1990s, this coin brings back vivid memories of travel through the Gulf, of business done in the early oil boom days, of conversations over Arabic coffee, of simpler yet deeply meaningful times. There's something about holding that little coin that takes you back to a world where every purchase, every trade, every moment had weight and value. As the years passed, the UAE updated its coinage to reflect economic changes, rounding adjustments, and modern minting techniques. But the 1998 issue retained an almost classic charm. The Arabic numerals marking the Islamic year, paired with 1998 in English, formed a symbolic bridge between faith and progress, between centuries of tradition and the promise of the new millennium. It's a connection that resonates deeply with those who grew up respecting both heritage and modern growth. Collectors often say that a coin doesn't just hold metal, it holds memory. When you hold this 1 Dirham from 1998, you can almost feel the heat of the desert markets, the sound of distant call to prayer, the scent of cardamom and spice drifting from stalls, and the determination of a young nation moving toward greatness. That is the real magic, that something so small can carry the pulse of an entire era. Now, you might be wondering, why would anyone pay attention to such a common coin? After all, millions were minted, right? Yes, but here's the hidden truth that only serious collectors know. Not all coins are equal. Some were minted in specific locations, with unique die impressions, or produced during limited runs for circulation testing. Over time, these variants become harder to find, especially in uncirculated or mint condition. There are also stories of a few 1998 1 Dirham coins that were struck with unusual alignment, the obverse and reverse slightly rotated, making them rare errors. A handful of such pieces surfaced in private collections, and ever since, their value has skyrocketed. Add to that the cultural importance of the year 1419 in Islamic history, and you begin to see why this coin stands apart. For men of our generation, men who have seen decades of change, from the old markets to modern skyscrapers, coins like this are more than collectibles. They are bridges to memory. They remind us of how value was once measured not just in wealth, but in craftsmanship, in tradition, and in the spirit of giving. Every coin exchanged hands between people who shared trust, honor, and community. Think of it this way. Every time you see this coin, you're not just looking at metal. You're looking at a symbol of transformation. The moment when the UAE was rising from the sands to become a world symbol of progress and unity. That's why collectors from Europe, Asia, and America now seek this piece. They're not just buying a coin. They're buying a story that cannot be replaced. And here's where it becomes truly incredible. Recently, a few pristine examples of the 1998 1 Dirham, preserved perfectly, have been valued by private collectors and auction experts at unbelievable figures. Some transactions have even been rumored in the private market to reach extraordinary sums, as rare coins have always captured the imagination of the elite. So, after all this history, symbolism, and mystery, how much do you think this small piece of metal could be worth today? The answer might leave you speechless. Because the rarest, this coin 1998 United Arab Emirates 1 Dirham coin history, depending on condition, rarity, and provenance, has been valued by some collectors and enthusiasts at up to $2.5 million. Yes, you heard that right. $2.5 million for a single coin that once bought a small cup of tea in the markets of Dubai. That is the power of history, the magic of memory, and the beauty of discovery. A coin that once traveled through countless hands now stands as a symbol of priceless value. So, the next time you come across an old coin, don't dismiss it. Look closer. It might just be holding a story that could change your life. And if you love discovering hidden treasures like this, don't forget to subscribe to Coin Discovery Old Zone, where every coin tells a story, and every story might just hold a fortune waiting to be found.